In this video, we're going to look at questionnaires. I would recommend just reading through this in your own time with your notes, but if that's not available to you, you can listen to this, but it's not going to be amazing. Normally the teacher will go through this with you in class and it'll be a bit more interactive. So we're going to understand and use the data handling cycle to solve problems. So whenever you have to carry out an investigation or a survey, you should follow the data handling cycle as detailed below. Sometimes it's broken into 4 steps. I've got it in 6 steps here. Step 1 is specifying and planning. Step 2 is collecting the appropriate data. Step 3 is processing and representing appropriately the data collected. Step 4 is interpreting and analysing the results found. Step 5 is reflecting on your investigation. And then step 6 is repeating the cycle for a new hypothesis. We'll go through all of these again, so you'll not remember that just from me saying it. We'll go into more detail now. Let's look at an example of the data handling cycle and the first step, which is the specifying and planning. So if you're specifying, you begin with a hypothesis that we wish to test, or a survey we wish to carry out, or a question we wish to answer. Now make sure the question is specified in a measurable way, measurable being very important, something that you can measure. So a bad example would be that girls are better than boys. How do you measure that? A good example would be girls do better in exams than boys. And if it's more specific, is it all exams? Being clear is important. Planning then. You need to plan clearly and precisely how you will collect data, process the data appropriately, represent the data effectively, analyse the data, and make a conclusion on what we have found so far. So thinking through, planning through that whole process. Once you're happy with your plan, you'll then go on to step 2 of the process, which is collecting the appropriate data. So we need to make clear what data is to be collected, how it is to be collected, and why it is to be collected. For example, we could, for this example we're looking at girls do better than boys in exams, collect all the GCSE exam results in our school over the last 5 years. We could do this by accessing the results from the school database, and we could use the database to search these results by gender to compare how well the boys and girls have done. So that's how we're going to collect the appropriate data. Step 3 is processing and representing the data collected appropriately. So what is processing? This is where we do something with the data. For example, we might want to work out the mean, median, range, and average, or a spread of the girls' and boys' exam grades. After you've maybe processed and worked out some figures, you might want to start representing the data. This is where we represent the data collected and or processed by putting the data in appropriate tabular form. Using appropriate pictorial forms, for example, bar charts, pie charts, scatter graphs. And you might need to have the data processed for some of these things because you might want to do what's called a box plot, which you'll learn about later on, and that involves having the median and the range. So after you've processed it and represented the data, you then look to interpreting and analysing the results found. Interpreting. This is where we look at our tables and graphs and from them present conclusions to try to answer our original hypothesis, which was, remember, girls do better in exams than boys. Analysing. This is where we look a bit more deeply at our conclusions. We might want to consider how accurate or valid our work has been. We might want to think about how much credibility we can give our conclusions. What can we say? What can we not say? Step 5 is reflecting on your investigation. So this is where we would do a review. And to make that review clear, we can think about what we did, what limitations there are to our work, how we could improve our work, and how we could narrow the focus to get a more specific result. The better the plan, the less there's to do here. Bear that in mind. And the final step potentially is repeating. So we could now test a new hypothesis. For example, Year 12 girls do better in exams than Year 12 boys. Or girls do better in English than boys. That's a little bit more specific than what we started off with, and there might be a reason for doing that based on going through the whole process the first time. So let's look at another example here, example 1. So suppose you wanted to answer the question, what is your favourite subject in school? We need to write down 3 different sets of data you would collect. So what data would you collect to answer the question, what is your favourite subject in school? I've got 3 suggestions down here, but there are more than 3 potential data sets you could use. So suitable sets of data are the number of students in Year 11 choosing each subject for GCSE. So you would maybe think, you know what, if lots of people have chosen to do geography, geography is the favourite subject in school, and so on. Another data set you could do is get the favourite subject in the whole of Year 8. So ask the whole of Year 8 what their favourite subject is. Now there's pros and cons that we could discuss for all 3 of those. Part B is asking to write down how you would collect the data sets. So now we'll actually see how good are they in terms of being able to collect them. So for the number of students in Year 11 choosing each subject for GCSE, you could just go around and ask the teachers, potentially how many's in your Year 11 geography class or history class or English class, etc. For the favourite subject in Year 8, you could design and use a questionnaire. And for asking students in Year 10 at random what their favourite subject is, you could conduct a random poll of the Year 10 students. So that's just a selection of things that you could do. For example, for the number of students in Year 11, you could maybe go to the office and get that data from a spreadsheet that might be available to you. Well, not available to students, but if a teacher was doing this, they could maybe get that. Part C then is to write down one possible limitation in your plan. Potentially lots of limitations and potentially lots of issues with these 3 here. So I've just written down one thing for part C. Students do not choose all their subjects. For example, they have to do maths. So that would sort of rubbish this one here because everyone does maths, so and they didn't actually choose maths, so it's hard to know how to measure then, is maths a favourite subject or not, and equally the same with English. Other issues with Year 8. Year 8 do different subjects than you would have available to you when you get to Year 11 or you get to sixth form. Asking students in Year 10 at random what is their favourite subject, it's the same idea there too. And finally then, part D is to suggest what further question you might wish to answer after carrying out this investigation. Very hard to answer if you haven't actually done it yourself, but other options could be that we could ask the question, what is the most favourite subject chosen by Year 11 girls to study at GCSE level in school? So very specific. You could actually get an answer to that actual question, whereas if you chose the initial question, the data that you've collected doesn't perfectly match up with that, and that would be a limitation.